Details of the shooter of the ICE facility are coming out. I'm going to give you guys the whole update with no fear, no fomenting anger against the other side, but definitely telling the truth. Welcome to Doug in Exile. Now, here's Tom Homan with people have been threatening him forever, right? I just really like his attitude. And they were saying that he was taking bribes and he's threatened to sue MSNBC. Watch this first, then we'll get to the ICE agent thing.
What is the story with this and where did it come from?
Well, look, as the Justice Department said, I did nothing criminal, I did nothing illegal, I did nothing wrong. And this is a series of hits against me since the beginning of the year. There's been hit pieces about every week. There was a hit piece on my security detail saying I had 31 security detail. I'm wasting millions of dollars. I had about a quarter of that. I think I had 8 security detail at the time. I had a 4-car caravan. I had 2. Another story about I'm helping certain companies with their contracts. Here's what people need to understand. Day one of the administration, when President Trump asked me to come back and we entered on duty, I met with ethics attorneys, and by law, you're supposed to recuse yourself from any company you had affiliations with before. But I took it a step further. I recused myself from all federal contracts. I won't have any decision-making in any federal contract, but people, including this recent case, people are saying, I'm going to line the pockets of people. I signed that declaration. I do not make decisions in any federal contracts. And just so people know, I make about 18% of what I made in my company to come back and serve my nation. So my family's took a sacrifice. I've taken a sacrifice. I'm back here doing the right thing. The hit pieces keep coming, but I know who's chumming the water. I know who keeps throwing this information out, and the media jumps all over it. And they're going to see some legal actions real soon. I'm working with the legal team. I'm done with it. They can attack me all they want, but we're going.
Tom Homan is so mad he's going to start getting his legal team up. He's going to sue MSNBC. These are allegations, serious allegations that they can't back up, and I say sue them hard. Now, here's on the shooter. This is, dude, this is MSNBC. I'm sorry, I don't want to call my audience dude. That's kind of rude. But MSNBC, these people are psycho.
I don't know if you all have followed the news, and we're still learning a little bit about it. But what we know is that in Dallas, Texas, an ICE facility, an Immigrations and Customs Enforcement facility, was opened fire upon by a violent left-wing extremist, a person who wrote anti-ICE messaging on their bullets. And there's some evidence that we have that's not yet public, but we know this person was politically motivated. They were politically motivated to go after law enforcement. They were politically motivated to go after people who are enforcing our border. And I think that is the most disgusting thing.
You know, people emulating this kind of attack is certainly a concern. The irony with the writing, the first time we really saw that was Brenton Tarrant in the Christchurch shooting in a mosque in New Zealand.
We saw that on Twitter in New Zealand, but that's ancient history. And he's saying that's where all these shooters got it from. He went back to the only right-winger he could find, alleged right-winger, by the way, of a guy that shot up a mosque, but drew on all his bullets and all the casings and everything. You know, you can go back to movies like Platoon, where people would put sayings on their weapons, including on the bottoms of their airplanes and things like that. So the idea that this is a uniquely right-wing thing, this guy is pushing so hard, especially when all of the shooters of the last year, the ones that have been putting drawings on their casings, are all left-wing, Trantifa.
And he was a fierce, white supremacist and neo-Nazi, and wrote all over his weapon and his rounds very hateful information. So to see this coming from, potentially the other side of the political spectrum is a little strange.
Why would it be strange that someone on the left wing would write on their bullets? And we're going to show you the bullets in a minute. I think it means these people are lunatics. I think these people, you write on your bullets it's almost like some kind of a manifest. It gives you, and it's all in video games too, where you can skin all of your weapons and all of your bullets. So it's in video games. It's part of culture now. And he's going, it's strange that a left-winger, that the other side would do it, as if only a white supremacist in New Zealand would think to draw on his bullets. What they're trying to show you is that it's normal for a white supremacist to do it, and it's totally abnormal for the left-winger to do things that white supremacists do, even like shooting up a school. that go, hey, we've been telling people for years, that's just what Republican right-wingers do. No, left-wingers do it more.
Because it is not something, if you are trying to, carry out some kind of message countering, more extreme right-wing stuff. I don't know why you would, use a tactic that a famous white supremacist who has been revered and copycatted over the years by other white supremacists.
This O'Leary guy used to be in the FBI in leadership. I can't believe they would have someone that dumb working.
Would do that, but it does appear that people are moving in that direction because they want people to know what they're doing and why they're doing it. Again, terrorism is theater. They want people to understand their message and why they're doing this and why, in some cases it's a narrow act of violence and it's not supposed to be a mass murder, although it looks like it's moving a little more in that direction.
Moving a little more as a mass murder as they find out more of these people. And by the way, I'm not just automatically accusing the left either. You know what I mean? One thing I don't like about every shooting is everyone goes like, I just want to know which side did it. I want to know which side, what's the political affiliation of these shooters, of these nuts. So then I can, jump on it if it's the other side. And I can kind of, tamp it down and make excuses if it's my side. That's what I don't like about this whole thing. I think actually, if you pull a trigger on someone else, there's something about you that is inhuman and wrong. And you may secondarily be involved with a party, okay? Or follow a party's call to violence. We're going to go into the call to violence of Democrats over and over again calling violence. And I'm telling you guys, I still don't necessarily blame the Democrats, even though they're always calling for violence all day. I still blame the shooter.
Homeland Security says that before 7 a.m., a sniper started shooting from a nearby rooftop and fired indiscriminately at the ICE facility, including a van that was in the Sallyport. DHS says 3 detainees in that van were shot and at least one of the detainees was killed. The gunman then turned the gun on himself. Officials say no ICE agents were hurt. The FBI, though, shared pictures of rounds found right near that shooter with anti-ICE engraved on those shell casings. This is the latest in a string of targeted attacks on ICE facilities right here in Texas. At the same facility, a man was arrested for making a bomb threat last month. Then in July, a group ambushed officers outside a separate Texas ICE facility. One officer was shot and survived that shooting.
Here's more of them trying to blame the shooting of an ICE facility on someone on the right.
Well, it's very fluid. And as Chief Ramsey pointed out, they are sorting through who is this gunman? What is the identity? What is the background? What are the messages connected with this shooting? And that is something we may learn in the course of the press conference in terms of messages. But where we are right this minute is, as Chief Ramsey framed it, we don't know whether this was an anti-migrant shooting because of the victimology who was struck, or whether this is an anti-ICE shooting. And the governor's statements about assassination suggest he has some information that we don't have yet, and that may not be entirely clear to authorities. So the press conference is going to be very pivotal because they're going to be able to tell us in some form what they know, what they don't know, and what they're doing to find out.
So we're going to find out more info on a press conference. Frankly, I think this show transcends a press conference. I'm going to give you this by Kash Patel. So that guy talked about evidence they have as to motive. Here's Kash Patel. This morning, just before 7 a.m. local time, an individual fired multiple rounds at a Dallas, Texas ICE facility, killing one, wounding several others before taking his own life. And again, if he takes his own life, the guy's a little crazy, right? FBI, DHS, ATF are on the ground with Dallas PD and state authorities. While the investigation's ongoing, an initial review of the evidence shows an ideological motive behind the attack. See photo below. One of the unspent shell casings recovered was engraved with the phrase anti-ICE. More updates will be forthcoming. Now, who is anti-ICE, guys? You already know what party. Kamala Harris was anti-ICE. I'm going to give you all these Democrats that are anti-ICE and calling for violence and calling to unmask and dox ICE agents. But here's Hakeem Jeffries exploiting and basically setting up ICE agents, showing the anger from Democrats that they don't like ICE.
Every single ICE agent who's engaged in this aggressive overreach and are trying to hide their identities from the American people will be unsuccessful in doing that. This is America.
The ICE agents were not hiding their identity from the American people. They were hiding their identity from shooters that would come to their home who were actively doxing ICE agents. That is, telling you where their home address is so that you'll go threaten them. That's why they had to cover their identity.
This is not the Soviet Union. We're not behind the Iron Curtain. This is not the 1930s.
Okay, get it? This is Hitler's Germany now, is the messaging he's giving to everyone about ICE agents and ICE in general. This is the Soviet Union, and this is 1930s Germany.
And every single one of them, no matter what it takes, no matter how long it takes, will, of course, be identified.
No matter how long it takes, no matter what it takes. What do you mean by that, Hakeem Jeffries? No matter what? No matter what? We're going to identify them? And then here's one from the Jayapal lunatic. Again, rhetoric against ICE.
We might call this getting strike ready.
Getting strike ready.
Think of it as getting us strike ready or street ready. And part of that is understanding our own strength. And as we develop that strength, being able to assess our risk tolerance, because we know that risk tolerance increases as the severity of the situation increases and as our own understanding of what's happening increases. So overall, the more we understand what's effective, what the risks are, and who's ready to participate, the more impact we can have.
This is all military readiness talk against ICE, strike ready against ICE agent. This is the same person that was trying to convict Trump of causing a riot on J6th, who said nothing like this kind of language. He said peacefully walk over to the Capitol. Same thing here with Jasmine Crockett.
Somebody who understands history, when I see ICE, I see slave patrols. Now, I never lived through the slave patrol period, but if you know the history of policing in this country, then you understand that they were born out of slave patrol.
Okay, slave patrols is how you know what they did to slave patrols? They shot them in the Civil War. So again, call the violence by the Democrats. Here's Ted Cruz.
To every politician who is using rhetoric, demonizing ICE and demonizing CBP, stop. To every politician demanding that ICE agents be doxxed and calling for people to go after their families, stop. This has very real consequences. Look, in America, we disagree. That's fine. That's the democratic process. But your political opponents are not Nazis. We need to learn to work together without demonizing each other, without attacking each other. And I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to the brave men and women of law enforcement. I want to say thank you to the brave men and women of ICE and CBP and everyone who puts their lives on the line to keep us safe.
Why is Ted Cruz the only one saying thank you to ICE? Why aren't the Democrats, if they're in a period of mourning for an ICE facility being shot up, an ICE officer or people being shot, why aren't they saying, I just want to thank the ICE agents for their bravery? None of it. Okay, we've got new details coming in about the shooter. Laura Loomer did a background check on Joshua John, J-A-H-N, the ICE shooter in Dallas, Texas, says his profile picture from his now wiped Facebook page, per the background check results, reveal Antifa and communist imagery. The profile photos of an armed communist with a hammer and sickle. This is, again, why is it all like low-end right-wingers finding out all the facts while MSNBC is out spewing lies to all of you? He also has a conviction for selling marijuana. I'm going to end on a piece of humor here. This is a video Trump released from the White House. Look what we have here. It's a photo of all of the presidents. It's Clinton, George Bush, Barack Obama, Trump's first term, and the President Auto Pen right there, number 46, and there's Trump, 47. They have officially hung the portrait of Joe Biden's auto pen at the White House. And I think that is wonderful. The universe is healing as we get to the bottom of the ICE shooter and the auto pen. And they both, I believe, will point to Democrats. I'm Doug in Exile.